So yeah, just want to say hello from Golang, and yeah, I also want to know how much you are interested towards Golang. So is everyone ready to become Gopher? So let me introduce myself, like for the Gopher terminology first. So what is Gopher basically? So in different languages, we have different terminology for like the Java developer or Python developer or any other developer. So who belongs to that particular community. Similar way, in the Golang also we have the community. So where you are joining to the community, so those people we usually call it as a gopher. I hope you guys are like interested and excited to become gopher as well. So yeah, if yes, say yes, or yeah, I can see the interest or excitement as well. So, so let us understand why Golang, because everyone talks about Golang nowadays. Why Golang is becoming popular language when we compare with other languages. So let us understand some towards about the features of Golang. So one is concurrency support. So what is concurrency? Let me explain it in a simple way. So you are doing multiple tasks at the same time. That is what concurrency. In concurrency, again, we have different terminologies, asynchronous and the synchronous. So we will discuss in the course when we get into the course. But for the concurrency, what is concurrency again? So doing multiple tasks at the same time. So this support is very important from the programming side, because in different languages, the way we are dealing with the concurrency is directly with the OS threads. But in comes to the Golang side, we have this lightweight threads that we call it as a Go routine. So how much efficiency you are bringing from the Golang or in any other language with respect to the concurrency is a matter most, because we mostly when we measure the service performance, right, we will consider this concurrency as well, because how many tasks you are doing at the same time, so that will bring the, or that will help us to understand how much efficient you are. So similar way in programming also, while you are developing code or doing some coding or developing some services and application, how much service like how much efficient your application or service, so that is matter most. So that feature is provided in an efficient way by the Golang compared to other languages. So don't worry if you're already familiar with any other languages, and you already know this OS thread concept, so that is totally fine. But if you don't aware of it also, that is totally fine here, because when I comes to the course content, I will explain what course content will offer to you. Then we'll try to resolve question if you have any doubts and all. Okay. Then we have this dependency management. So in other languages, again, because why I'm comparing with other languages here, because you are introducing a new language. Why new language, right? So this question will definitely come into our mind. So there are already numerous languages are available in the market. So why this new language? So, but Go is offering more in an efficient way to handle dependency here. So we have dependency in other languages as well, because every application need libraries or dependency to run. So, but how efficiently you are managing it, that is matter here. So, but in the Golang specifically, here I am talking about, it is providing the efficient way to handle the dependency management using different tools by default provided from the Golang. And then efficiency and performance. We have two types interpreted. So what is compiled again? You will be getting some binaries, complete source code, and that particular executable you can use it and run anywhere on your system, right? So but in coming to interpreted languages, there is no executable. You need entire source code to run your application on different machine as well. But when it
Mhm.
comes to compiled languages, you will get intermediate files, and you just use that executable and you will run anywhere on your system or in the different machine. So this is how the Golang is bringing the efficiency using the compiled language. And then garbage collection. So whenever you have program, so you will definitely use some of the variables in your program, like you are doing some function execution, and once function is done its task, you have to clean up all the variables which is allocated to the memory address. So like there is a automatically garbage collection is happening when you are not using something in your program. So that is easily done in the Go programming, and as well as robust standard libraries. Initially, when Go is introduced, right? So we don't see much collection of libraries, but once the community grows and people are contributing to the Golang itself, then we see more libraries are coming in, and now there is a rich collection of libraries are available. And whenever you want to develop some web related application, you can just use that libraries or framework. You can implement those tasks. You don't need to write it from the scratch for that particular function or the functionality. So that is what the Go is providing to us. And then developer friendly. So definitely, as a developer, we are developing the code. So we have to make that like we have to feel that Go any programming language. So make it easy while developing the code, right? So that is what we feel when we doing the coding. But if you feel like more complex using this code, then even understanding concept and bringing that service reliability or performance related thing, it is difficult for as a developer. So here in the Golang particularly, we have various tools which help us to make things easier and code easier. So we can use different toolings which is provided from the Golang itself, and create the modules and run the program itself or build the packages. And then we can remove the unused modules as well by using some of the command for testing and deploying. For everything, there is a tool which is already built in the Golang itself. You can use it and you will be improving the developer productivity. So that is one of the biggest feature we can find from the Golang. Another one is community and ecosystem. So definitely community is very important. So Go is a open source again. So there is a large people are coming into this community, and they are building that ecosystem as well. So they are contributing as well, and they are using it to learn and developing the different service and application. So that is community and ecosystem. So uh, definitely you are already aware of the data, and the if you search for in the Google, so what is the popular language, definitely you will see Python or Java currently. But in the future, Golang will replace all those languages as well, because when you talk about cloud or CNCF project, so like everyone mostly go and use the Golang, because Go features are that much powerful. So these are the few features which I have noted here, but many features are there. So we will discuss in the course. And then let us understand some real time product which is built using the Golang. So the daily products we are using, right? Software products. It may be tools regarding Kubernetes, Docker, or Prometheus. Kubernetes for the deployment, Docker is for containerization, and Prometheus is for the monitoring, and also Grafana. So there are many tools which build using the Golang. But when you are using these tools, right, you already aware of it. If you already comes from the background of DevOps or SRE people, so you're already using these tools. So how you feel about these tools, right, when you are using? So Kubernetes, how much powerful? Everyone nowadays using the Kubernetes for deployment. How much reliable this service, right? So these Kubernetes tool or Docker or Prometheus are completely built using the Golang. If you go and search in the GitHub repository about the Kubernetes, Docker, or the Prometheus, you will get source code, right? So go and explore those example, and you will see how they are written or what are the languages that they have used. So definitely for the front end other aspect, they are using different languages, but handling the data like backend side, so they will definitely go with this Golang. So that much powerful Golang is. And then we have to understand this important quote, I can say. So that is the power of essentialism. Go approach the versatility. So in Go, simplicity isn't a limitation, it is a strength. With the essential at your disposal, you have everything you need to handle anything. That means you have less concept in the Golang, but you can achieve more in the Golang using the Golang. So that is, you don't see like if you again I'm specifying, if you're already familiar with other languages like class, object, inheritance concept. So those things you will not directly see in this language because whatever is there with respect to the class or object in other languages, here in the Golang we are using the struct and object relationship. And when you see the inheritance concept in the other languages, here we are going to see the embedded struct. So that basically provide the inheritance concept. So those things are not directly deal in the Go languages, but it is basically designed for the simplicity, not for the complexity. Because if you talk about Java, right, it is more complex. Even you ask people, whoever in the Java development team or any other team, whoever using the Java, you can ask them and they will always tell about these things. So Java is more complex to learn and also to develop code and to bring the innovation as well. So in order to remove the complexity in other languages and also what other languages is not providing. So those things like one package as a Golang is providing to us. So it may be related to the efficiency or it may be related to the reliability or it may be related to the concurrency. So everything is there, but there are concepts which you compare with other languages, which is not there in the Golang. That is not limitation here, but it is a strength. To remove the complexity and to bring the simplicity, we are mainly focusing on removing all the concept which is not needed for us, but what is essential that is needed. You can use those concepts, you can develop any service or to the any extent. So that is what the quote here. But when you compare with other language, you will see the difference. But if you are someone who directly comes to this Golang to learn, then you will not see much difference. Okay. Then, as I said, so as a language, Go is always tries to keep the thing simple. It doesn't introduce many concepts. The focus is on creating the simple language that is incredibly fast and the easy to work with. So that is what we want, right? At the end of the day, whatever the programming language you are using, so it should be fastly working and it should be well performant, and as well as for the developer task it should be easy, because at the end of the day as a developer we are trying to create the code. So that is the foundation, right? Developing the code for any service. So that is what the power of essentialism in terms of Golang. And then let us understand some simple scenarios, why Golang is very important in such scenarios. So when you develop service, you don't talk about any language you are currently using or your application is using. So what you talk about at the end of the service or the service is released to the customer. So just like focus on this number. Don't focus on any company name or other thing, because this is the real time data I have taken from the different company use case, how they are using the Golang in their application. But focus on this what numbers, that is 250,000 per request, like plus request per second they have achieved with the Go. So that means at the end of the day, whether you are like measuring your service how much reliable or efficient your service based on this number only. So if you are coming from DevOps or SRE team, you already aware of what this calculation and all. But if you don't aware of it, just let me explain this. So again, at the end of the day, the service is going to be used by your user or the customer. So there are millions user you are having for your application. How you are handling the million user request for your service. So how well or like efficient way you are handling those requests, right? So that is very important. So that is what I am mentioning here. So you are handling per second 250,000 plus requests. So that means per second it is handling this many requests. For per minute how many requests, you just think about it. So how much system is efficient and also it is reliable, right? So again this number can be increased based on your service reliability, but what they are using in the backend side, like to develop the code and all. So that is using the Golang, and then reducing the latency and improve performance. So definitely, when you have high latency, right, when you request the service for getting the response, so then if you have more, like if you have the more delay time, right, so then you will frustrated with the application itself. For example, you are ordering something, you are place an order but you won't get that response back immediately, then you will get frustrated immediately, right? So there is a latency. What is latency again? When you send the request, right, to the service, and how much time it is taking for responding back to you. So that is the calculation of delay. So again, these are the factor which relies on the backend system as well. How much reliable your backend system, so that will define your latency factor. And then improve server efficiency. So as I talk about this concurrency and also Go routine, so just I have given the introduction. So Go routines are lightweight, and it will definitely schedule on the threads only at the end of the day. But there is an intermediate person who is going to handle it. That is Go scheduler here. So what Go scheduler is going to do? Every Go routine when it's created, it is going to efficiently manages on the threads. It is not, we are not directly communicating with the threads, but there is already someone, we already provided the logic to handle those Go routine on the threads. So but these Go routines is a less resource intensive. It is not like more resource intensive for the as like threads. So when you compare with threads, it is consuming the less resource when it is allocated on the thread, because multiple Go routine can allocate it on the single thread. So that is also possible. How efficiently the Go scheduler is doing it, so that is totally depends on. So using the Golang again, we are improving the server efficiency as well, or utilizing the resources. So these are few factors which I have taken. But again, many such backend system you are developing using the Golang, it is contributing to this latency related thing, or server efficiency, or how many requests you are handling per second. So that is also matter. So for one of the use case in recent news, you have heard of it, right? So there may be a like big events is going to be happen. It may be World Cup or India Pakistan match. So during this time, so there are different like streaming platforms will be available. It may be Hotstar, or it may be Geo Cinema, or whatever it may be. So how many, like there are millions users are concurrently watching that event, right? How this Hotstar or any other video streaming platform handling those requests at the same time. So this is because of the concept of concurrency. And uh, yeah, definitely other components are very important apart from the programming itself. But what is the foundation for any service? It is the programming itself. So again, when we comes to the course, so that time I will explain how Google, like definitely this Golang is developed by someone, right, or some company. So that is Google. So Google is developed this Golang because of some frustration in the organization in terms of development side, in terms of operational side aspect they are considered. So we will discuss on that. But Google is developed this Golang, and what are the frustration we will discuss in the future course content. So this is how Golang will bring more efficiency, and as well as leads the service reliability. So let me get any doubts till here you can ask. Otherwise, we'll get into the course. Yeah. So coming to course content, I will give an disclaimer here. So basically, this course content we designed for completely beginner to the programming itself, and also like if someone has some prior experience, right, towards programming, they didn't code but they have some experience. So those people, for those people we design this course. But definitely, if like here we will be seeing from different background people, right? So based on that I can add some more content, but I need some feedback from your side as well, because what is your background, and whether you are familiar with the programming, you can type it in the chat so that I can understand how many people are very beginner to programming itself. They didn't know about programming itself. They didn't even know what is machine level language or high level language or compiled or interpreted. So these are the terminology again comes to every programming concept, like every programming language, whether talking about Java, Python, everything. So in terms of Golang also, we have to understand what is programming first, then only we can proceed. So please type it in the chat so that I can understand. If you are completely beginner, or you already have some experience towards any other languages, or yeah, so whatever the experience you have with respect to the programming. Yeah, what this course will offer to you basically. So definitely we have to be understand first all the basic concept, then only we can write more code, or with the advanced level concept, right? So every programming concept has all these minimum programming knowledge, right? So that may be related to uh, writing first program or installation step or history or features or problems in other languages and what is the solution in Go, and data types. So because we differently, like we will deal with different type of data in the programming, so definitely this is the foundation for that. So basic data types and variable constants and identifier, keywords, operator, control structures. So there are different again control structure. But coming to Go syntax, what it is, we have to understand. Even you are familiar with other languages, so definitely what makes the difference in Go, so that you have to understand again the syntax perspective. And then functions and function, again in the function we have different scenarios. For every concept here I will be coding lively, and you can see while coding also, if any errors occur in the during the session, we will resolve those errors as well. And I'm not copying the code and I'm doing the paste in the like IDE or any other tool I am using. I'm not going to do it. So I will write code everything on during the session only, and then you will understand. And then function methods, error handling in Go. So because in other languages we have different concept, that is try, catch, exception blocks. But in coming to Golang, we have the different strategies while handling the errors. So that we will see. And packages, imports. So these are related to the libraries which we are going to import and modules we are going to deal with. And then concurrency. So how you can achieve the concurrency in Go? There are different concept again, using the Go routine, select keyword, multiple Go routines, channels, direction of channels. So these are again helps to achieve the concurrency. So that we will discuss. And then composite types. Apart from basic data types, what we have different composite types as well. It may be array, slice, maps, and struct. So structs again, it is the most important feature which is providing from the Golang, because during the communication from the internet, or you are sending data to the internet, or you are doing some encoding decoding operation, so you will definitely see this structs mostly. So and the maps and slice array, so these are also comes under composite data types. And then we have the pointers, memory management. So again we have variables, constant, pointers, how we can use the variable and pointers to improve the memory management in the Golang. So that I will explain with code example. So again, whatever concept I am providing here, so everything has the live coding as well. And then advanced concurrency patterns. So apart from concurrency, we can use also the wait groups and mutate to implement some synchronous in the concurrency. Or if you are going with asynchronous, so we will understand what is the difference between asynchronous, synchronous in the course. But this is again coming to the advanced concurrency pattern. And then how you can work with files, and then command line arguments, how you can pass the arguments from the command line and you can work with or you can run the program by providing the command line inputs. And then interface and generic reflection type assertion in Go. So and building and using custom packages. So these are basically you are going to provide your own package definition and how you can import this package in your application, how you can use it. So those things. So again, by default, Go is providing you as some packages, but you can also develop those package and you can use it in your application. And gRPC, gRPC again is one of the communication protocol we are using. So it is a RPC mechanism, that is remote procedure uh, uh, protocol, so that we can like again here I'm having some like projects or simple projects to showcase here, so that I will explain what is gRPC and how it is helpful during the communication. So again, coming to JSON or HTTP request, right? You already familiar with this concept. So again, gRPC provides a more efficient method for the communication or during the serialization and deserialization. So those things we will understand with respect to the gRPC. And then advanced error handling strategies. So apart from what actually Golang providing the basic error handling mechanism, apart from that we have different error methods and all from the package itself, so that we can use it and we can achieve more like in a better way to handle errors. So that is the advanced error handling strategies and testing in Go. So definitely once you develop the code, you have to test it whether your application is working fine, whatever you are expecting, it is achieving. So that you will be done using the testing. So by default, Go is providing the testing framework to us. So you can use that and you can write your test cases. And then working with JSON. So this is mostly you will familiar with, I guess, even if you are not. So what is JSON and different formats we have like XML and the protobuf JSON for like protobuf for data format. So these are again the data format which we will be using for communicating with the internet data, or you are getting some data over the internet to into your application. You want to process it and then you want to store it in database. So then you will use these formats to perform those operations. And then working with database, specifically here, I'm going to use the SQL for how you can work with the database. And then web development and web framework. So web development, we will be doing with respect to the HTTP package. Apart from the HTTP package, we have the web framework as well by providing from the Golang itself, that is GIN framework. So that I will be discussing how you can use the GIN framework in your application so that you can make any request, that is HTTP request, in an efficient way. So that is web framework here. And the code organization and project structure. So this is again important. So to understand how your code is organized and also entire project structure, because when you are developing code in your organization, you have to make sure that which code is there in the which packages, right? It may be front end or database or some back end side you are maintaining the code, in which package you are maintaining, and how the structure looks like. So these are the very important thing or basic, you can say, you have to understand towards Golang side as management, and also it has its own feature, right? By maintaining the project structure. So there we have to understand the entire project structure. And then go documentation and the go doc, which help us to understand and also learn more about Golang as well. So there actually we have a very good tool which is provided from the Golang itself, that is Godoc. You can use that tool. You can like read about all the packages or function you want to explore more towards it in the terminal itself. Even you don't need to go to the official Go documentation, or there are some more like advanced things defined in the documentation itself. You can't able to understand it, so that time you can use the Go tool itself. So it helps us to understand what actually this function is doing or package is doing. And then we have Go tools. So as I keep on mentioning, so for developer tasks, these Go tools are Go tool chain, which is by default provided from the Golang. It is a, like I can say, it is a superpower for developer. So every tool you are going to use it, it will develop or give some code to you. You can develop on top of that, or you it will improve the module management side, or it will create some files for you. So these are the things again which can be done easily using the Go tool chain. And then dependency management with Go modules. So again we have this separate topic here, that is understanding go.mod file itself, how go.mod it is maintaining or tracking all the modules which is important in your application with all the version. And also we have something called go.sum, so that I will also explain during the session. And then concurrency pattern and design principle. Apart from what you see with respect to concurrency, this is again basic need for achieving the concurrency. But in real time, they are using the different patterns and design principle while developing the concurrency Go code. So how they are developing, we'll take some use cases and we'll understand with respect to this concurrency. And writing concurrent and parallel programs. So there is a small difference between the concurrent and parallel program. So those things we will understand when we execute the concurrent programs. And then building and deploying Go application. If you are already familiar with Docker and Kubernetes, so this is what we are going to use for containerizing the application and as well as for the deployment of the Go application. So this we will be doing at the end of the project. So that project, we will completely build that and will deploy it on the cluster and will access that entire application as usual when you see the application from your local host. And then optimum Go code for the performance. So there are again some best practices in every languages you have to follow to make the code even more performant. So how you can follow those steps? So those things we will discuss in this optimizing thing, and then debugging and troubleshooting Go programs. So definitely, once you develop the code, you will have many issues in the code. So you want to debug and troubleshoot this issue, or even your service is running, you want to debug the code. How you can use the tool which is provided from the Golang itself, or there are other methods again. So I will discuss about that. How you can use the debug tool and you can troubleshoot the issue. And definitely security is one of the feature in every languages we have to follow when we are writing the code. So again, how you can handle the security in Go, and some of the concern which we usually face in the real time. So those things we will discuss here and will understand. And then again, I mentioned we will develop the complete Go project. It is including, so again, I am working on of the self projects so that I can showcase. Otherwise, there is one front end database application will be there. How things are will be done and how we can build that and Dockerize it and finally deploy that application on the cluster. We will see those examples. This is the entire course. Again, it is covering basic level and intermediate. Again, it's some of the advanced level. So if you, again, I mentioned, if you're coming from different background, not familiar, not familiar with programming itself, so I hope you already type it in the chat. But yeah, you can speak and ask questions now. And so some of you already type I am beginner and I have knowledge in programming and beginner again. So any prerequisite to learn Golang? So no. So if you are like some concept you're already familiar with other languages, that is totally fine. Or if you don't have any programming knowledge also, that is totally fine. So again, based on the inputs and you are giving here, so I will add some content again and I will circulate the content by Monday maybe. So then you will understand what can be the again some more contents what I add. You can see that as well. So can we add the project in resume? Yes, you can add that as well. I think Naveen has programming knowledge. Others Satish and Travius is a beginner. Both are beginner. And course timings and duration. This I'm not sure. Will the team will inform to you about that. But every concept which I have explained, those concept I will be doing the code in live during the session. So yeah, you will see if any error occurs or if any doubts you have, how I am writing the code or yeah, definitely like once my task is done, your side also the task should be done, right? You have to practice writing the code. Otherwise, you can't get the concept easily. Even you are beginner to this course or even you have some knowledge on programming, definitely you need more practice towards programming because this is not one time you can achieve everything. It's not like that. Every day you will be learning and you will like getting some issues, you are trying to resolve it, or you will be getting some errors, you are trying to understand that error, then only you will analyze it and finally you will able to learn what it is. So right, so direct explanation again from my side, it is not enough. Your side also you have to put effort and you have to practice, because anyway I'm doing coding in live session, this will improve my side of coding. But again, from your side, you have to improve your side coding. Then you have to practice a lot. So even if you are a beginner, you have to practice because practice is the key for anything, right? So yeah,
Madam, how many batches you completed for this Golang?
actually, currently one batch I've completed.
We required any knowledge in IDEs, like the what is a open source. What kind of IDEs we required, and are you giving?
So yeah, so we mostly go with Visual Studio Code only. So there, like every in production also, you will be mostly using the VS Code, and also in the Go itself, we are like there is a one platform which is provided directly on the internet, that is Go Playground. So this you can use it for experiment and testing out something, or you are learning something, right? Then you can use that Go playground directly and you can use it. But IDE is the most preferable and recommended way when you are developing or writing code, because in most production system or when you are writing code, you will be mostly using the VS Code or any other particular tool. But here we will go with VS Code.
So the duration, any idea, ma'am?
So this, okay, duration is 30 days, 30 to 35 days. But when it is going to start, so that I have to discuss, and also the course timings.
So is it enough, ma'am, to learn 30 to 35 days this complete programming Golang? Because just I'm
Yes,
wondering, like,
sometimes I will be taking 1.5 hours. Sometimes, if it is the concepts are less or it is very basic, then I will be taking for 1 hour. So 1.5 hours I will be taking for the like I would be taking for the previous batch. So I could be able to complete around 30 to 35 days. And apart from Golang, did we need to learn any other like frameworks? So no, it is basically programming itself. If you, as I mentioned, if you aware of it, any other programming language, you will understand what is there in the Golang and how they are differing. But even if you are not familiar with any other language, still you can able to analyze it, because uh, every time when I'm talking about Golang, I will compare with other languages as well, so that you can go and explore after that as well. If you have any doubts or if you want to ask more question also, then you can come and ask me directly. So apart from like for this Golang course, you don't need any what frameworks to learn or anything. So it is just straight away the programming.
uh, ma'am, are you going to be provide the notes and recordings?
Yes, recordings will be anyway the session will be recorded every day, and you will get the recordings, and as well as I will push all the codes for practice in my GitHub, so you can also pull that code, or you can also see the code and you can try it out on your own, and you can maintain your GitHub repository as well.
Preeti, how will this help with the DevOps part of it?
Yeah, so basically in DevOps also, like DevOps, as I mentioned, if you are already aware of this site reliability engineer, right? So site
Right.
reliability engineer is one of the role which improves the DevOps culture. So there we mostly talk about the reliability and high performance related things in terms of application side. So there we will be mostly dealing with Kubernetes and various tools, right? Even Kubernetes operator, if you heard of it, it is completely developed using the Golang. In some of the use cases, for example, your application need something other than what Kubernetes is providing to us. You have to extend the capability as a DevOps engineer or an SRE. So if you have specific role in your organization, it is totally depends on like which team they are going to use this Golang to develop the Kubernetes operator. But at the end of the day, when you want something or to fulfill your application, then apart from what Kubernetes is providing to us, you have to extend some capabilities to that. So there you will be using the frameworks to build the operator. There definitely you are going to use the Golang. Again, some of the use cases, your application is totally relying on the Golang itself, and you want to do some integration test. As I mentioned in one of the project I did, completely with respect to the integration test framework. So there again, we have the Ginkgo and Go Omega, which is a testing framework from the Golang itself. And those things I have used for developing this integration test end-to-end framework, which helps to run the various chaos experiment in the Jenkins pipeline. So this is again depends on the task and requirement. It is going to change, but these are some use cases.
So instead of Selenium, are we using the tools that are provided by Google? Is that it?
Okay, Selenium is for the testing purpose only, right? I
Right.
didn't aware of the exact functionality. So if you can brief out like what exactly the Selenium is going to
So
do, so
automation
let me
testing
explain that.
usually for automation testing usually we are using Selenium, Cucumber, and the Java. So that's the Java part of it. So instead of that, with the Go language, you are saying Ginkgo or some other framework, right? So is that what
Yes.
is providing that automation testing framework for Google Cloud?
So it is basically when you compare with automation testing and integration testing, it is different, right? Maybe I didn't aware of the automation testing side, because what is integration testing, I will tell about that. So basically, we have 45 plus predefined experiment in my project. So there we have to test out all the experiment by making sure that every experiment is running successfully. What we are expecting as a result, it is able to achieve it with the particular duration of time. So this is the main like topic we have taken. So for this we need like the project or the operator or integration test framework which I have developed. So this is completely using the Golang as well as the other framework which is supported in Golang. So again, this is the BDD type style, that is behavior test driven style of test
Right.
framework which is provided from the Golang. So those framework which I have used in my integration test framework, and I have developed the integration test for various QoS experiment which is running in the Jenkins pipeline to test out whether it is working fine or not.
Okay. Okay. And
Again, for
changes.
the automation testing side, I didn't aware of it, but again, when you are trying to use the BDD style framework, right, then you can definitely go with Ginkgo and Gomega. So if your like application is mostly relying on, so it is depends on use case again. It is actually purely into the programming part, because as this course is designed for understanding what Golang is offering to us and what are the concepts we have and how we can code using the Golang to improve the what efficiency side or reliability side. So those are the things. But I will definitely tell like few example which I have taken, that is Kubernetes Prometheus. So these are the tools we are using, but like I mostly done one of the recording that is Kubernetes operator related. Maybe you can ask in the team if you already familiar with Kubernetes at least, how I use the Kubernetes like Golang to develop this Kubernetes operator. So maybe that will help us to give an idea where Golang is placing play on very major role in the production side as well. But
Okay,
again,
so
in entire course, we are not specifically talking about any tools and things, but we will be doing like at the end of the day, and anyway, I'm doing a project at the end of the course. But apart from that, whatever we discuss, so with respect to the concept, we will do the coding part.
okay, so Prometheus and this Grafana, right? So these tools, when you say that we are extending the capability, right? What exactly is the requirement usually the companies have for extending the capabilities?
For example, okay, so for example, you want to introduce more security side for your application, right? So, but whatever resource is providing to us from the Kubernetes side, it may be pod or the like the secret config map, what you have with those resource, the native resource, you can't achieve everything. So what Kubernetes is providing to us to extend the capability, we have the concept like CR and CRD. You can define your custom resource and custom resource definition, and it will work like a native resource only when you introduce into the Kubernetes platform. It will, for example, you have some security related configuration, you have to done it as a separate resource. Then you can introduce as a resource into your customer, so that Kubernetes is going to handle that. But Kubernetes itself is not having that feature. You can't provide that, or you can use that feature in your application. So instead of that, as a developer or a team, you are developing that feature and you are introducing into the Kubernetes to extend the capability. So that is one such example. As I mentioned again, I worked on this QoS experiment operator. Okay. So basically what this QoS experiment operator is going to do, it removes the Helm, what we use in the Kubernetes package manager, right? So apart, like in the Helm package manager, we have some disadvantages. It is not having the lifecycle manager and all. But when it comes to operator, yeah, it has the OLM, so that is operator lifecycle manager. When you want to do the upgrade and update for the particular resource and all, everything you can do it using the OLM itself, or it is automatically handled in the operator itself. So again, for my use case, that is pure experiment operator. So we have the existing workflow in where we will be using the Helm for triggering the experiment or running the experiment on the targeted platform. It may be Kubernetes or it may be Cloud Foundry. So when Helm triggers, there will be a job created and it will run the experiment and it will exit from the experiment itself. Whatever the status, it will directly update to my DB. So that is what the existing workflow we had. So, but what the sometimes we face some cluster instability. So due to that reason, what happened was, so during the experiment execution, what we want to achieve in the targeted platform, that was not succeeded, and every time it was resulting in the failed state. So I need to do some retry logic so that it can retry that particular experiment where exactly it failed, and it will bring the state to its original state. So basically, we have the rollback stage. Once we introduce the QoS into the state system, we have to roll back everything at the end after the experiment run. But at the end of the rollback stage, everything gets failed, and whenever the QoS is introduced, that QoS or failure is still there in my system. It is not revert back to my normal state of the system. So this was the issue due to the some instability in the Kubernetes. We faced that. Now I introduce the QoS experiment operator to improve this logic so that it will completely remove the Helm trigger. And what it is going to do is, if any failures occur, right? If something goes wrong with your application, it is not working fine what you are expecting from the result of your experiment. So then you are introducing the operator, it will bring the automation to your application side. How this operator is when there is a failure happen in your application, that is our experiment is not successfully run and it is not successfully roll back to the original state of your system, then it will retry that logic to make sure that it will bring the system to its normal state to remove all the by removing all the QoS we introduce. So this is one such use case where you are introducing the automation and you are making sure that your application is working fine as you are expecting. So there are some automation thing which is needed in your application as well to detect failure and to retry the logic and to make sure that there is everything working fine in your system or with respect to the application side as well. So these are again one of the use case which I have worked on. So it is depends again, you are extending because Kubernetes itself is not providing that feature for my application. That's why I introduced the operator to build that logic. So this is where you can use the operator, and this operator is completely rely on Golang because Kubernetes itself is built using the Golang, and you are extending the capability. You definitely needs to learn Golang.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
But
And
yeah, if you already aware of with this Kubernetes operator, right? Yeah, mostly you will be know the importance of Golang, why it is. But again, many such use cases we have with respect to the application side. So something is not working in your application or Kubernetes itself is not able to handle that. Then you are introducing the operator to make things like to do automation works or to retry that logic to make sure that your application is successful or handling things gracefully. So that is what the intention of using the Golang.
right, so I mean the automation part of it when it comes to Kubernetes, we are looking at Terraform and Python. So the scripting part of it, right? So uh, Golang haven't come across that scripts yet.
Yes. For
So
the script side, yeah,
right.
for the script side, as an SRE, we also deal with Python and a mix of language. But when it comes to scripting side, right, we mostly go with the Python. But when you are doing these kind of application related things, right, or in some use cases, you will also use some automation with respect to the Golang as well. So those script definitely you will use mix of language there, but we can't rely directly on the Golang because I'm not telling everything gets replaced by the Golang. So even in scripting side, you mostly using the Python. But when there is a need, right, for the Golang, so there we will be definitely using it. But with respect to the performance issue, or with respect to the reliability side, so we definitely take the Golang as a foundation language when you are mostly prioritize these things. That is mostly organization standards, right? These are the things: scalability, availability, reliability, so and performance things. So definitely for the cloud projects, they already uses the using the Golang. So if you take most of the CNCF project, right, it is mostly built using the Golang only. So how much reliable it is by using the tool, you will get to know. If you are already use the Kubernetes, right, you will aware of it. What is the capability of the or a feature which is used in the Kubernetes, which is provided from the Golang to build entire Kubernetes tool. So apart from that, it is also giving the extensibility, so that you can just analyze how much importance you have with respect to this Golang. Yeah, definitely you have with other languages. I'm not like telling you will completely replace this Java, Python, everything. There are some legacy software system currently running on Java and Python, but definitely take everything for makes sense, right? Even for the Golang also. Uh, there is a time it is going to shine. So we have to wait till that time. Definitely in coming days, it is going to shine. So that I
So,
can tell. But for related to scripting, as I mentioned, we'll definitely go with Python. As a SRE people, so I will also use Python script for automating things, but I will not completely rely on Golang sometimes. So that is also there.
so after this course, is there any niche area that, with the Golang part of it, that I could focus on from the career perspective?
Yeah, so definitely if you are I am already in SRE team, so that's why I'm telling how much
Okay.
importance Golang has in the SRE team. So
Okay.
SRE is definitely one of the opportunity, and the QoS engineering. If you are mainly focusing on the QoS engineering side, so in most of the organization they don't give a role that is SRE directly, but they have something called QoS engineer role as well. So there are again different namings for it, but at the end of the day, it is a reliability team. So there definitely you have the option. And also in the DevOps side, also many people are started to learning Golang because they are like interested towards join SRE as well. So apart from in the DevOps, what you are learning as in Python script or any, like definitely Python is the major thing we mostly focus on scripting side. Apart from it, if you are focusing on different roles with respect to the SRE role, then you definitely needs to learn this SRE, Golang. Sorry. Again, for the SRE, coming to skill set, you need Golang and you have to know the scripting side as well, and Linux, and yeah, everything. It comes to the
Let
programming side as well, and as well as the many tools which is comes as a Docker, Kubernetes, Prometheus, Grafana, and the incident response management tools. So these are the tools we mostly focus on in the SRE. But again, if you are already familiar with CI/CD concept, right? If you are coming from
Correct.
DevOps background, that is basically add an advantage for you to become SRE again. So, but if you are again directly trained for SRE, so that is again have the skill set which again follows the same for the DevOps as well. So in DevOps also we mostly focus on Docker, Kubernetes, Ansible, and Prometheus. Some of the tools which they are also mentioned in the job description. But in SRE also we mostly follow those tools. Apart from that, we mainly focusing on the monitoring side, reliability side. So those things as an SRE we are going to do.
Yeah.
But again,
Okay. Thank you.
programming knowledge is important for the SRE role as well. Okay. So will you touch SQL concept? So yeah, basically whatever I mentioned with respect to concept, we will deal with SQL only. But the query which I am using in my program to execute, so those things I will be explaining, but not exactly the SQL course here, because again I'm trying to explain SQL again from the scratch, it requires a lot of time for me, because this is again focusing on the Golang itself. This is a prerequisite. You can just go and learn about how we can execute the queries and all, and how we can write basic queries. That is enough. But here I'm not going to cover any SQL concept. But while doing the coding, I will try to explain what these queries will going to do, and some related to database things, but not exactly all the concept in SQL. And then uh, regular classes, yeah, this team will inform you, because yeah, even I'm not aware of it.
Oh, Preeti, got all the answers, required answers.
Okay. And one more thing, so if you need some of the concept you want to add it, because as I mentioned, this course is entirely from the beginner to the advanced level concept, right? If you don't understand basic, then you can't go to the other concept. So that's why I mostly mentioning in the initial session, we will be dealing with mostly all the basic concept which is needed for like any programming, as well as we compare with the Go programming as well. But as you already mentioned, most of them, like you are completely beginner to this programming itself, I will take this course as it is, and some of the contents I will add it based on the projects and all. So those things you will see in the course content. Maybe I will circulate this document by Monday, and then once the classes are confirmed, we can continue. If you still have any doubts and questions, you can ask in the